All right, welcome back, everyone. So today we're looking at, well, it's agenturin.pdf. Someone sent this in. And
Right.
okay, it outlines a whole marketing strategy, kind of fascinating, actually. It's for a company called Linkspreed.
Ah, yeah,
And, Linkspreed, they're the ones who want to make setting up your own social network
right.
easy, like
Yeah,
super easy.
yeah. Linkspreed, right. With that whole social networks as a service platform.
Exactly.
And if you look at their website, linkspreed.com, it really does seem like ridiculously simple. 3 steps and boom, you've got your own community, whatever it's about.
They even say they've already got like 150,000 communities using it, which is,
Wow.
yeah, it's a lot. But this document, agenturin.pdf, it's like they're shifting gears a bit. It's
Okay.
all about agencies and how agencies can help Linkspreed get to these like huge organizations, the big players.
Interesting, yeah, because you'd think with that many communities already, they'd be focusing on, individual users.
Right.
But this document, it's like their big growth plan is all about getting these major players on board, like
Yeah.
huge companies, government agencies, even political parties, it mentions.
And they actually explain why. Like right in the document, their whole thinking. They're
Mm-hmm.
saying, those traditional social networks, they're not cutting it anymore. People are
Mm-mm.
tired of the ads. They feel like their data isn't really theirs. And they want something, more authentic, a real sense of community.
So they're positioning Linkspreed as like the solution, right? And this whole Web4 idea,
Yes.
this kind of decentralized, community-driven internet where users have more control, it's a pretty ambitious vision.
Totally. And here's where the agencies come in. According to this document, agencies are going to be the ones bringing these big organizations onto Linkspreed,
Right.
like hand-holding them through the whole process, especially since the Web4 thing is so new.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if agencies can actually handle that, right? It's one thing to, manage a social media campaign. Sure. But helping a whole government entity build a thriving community in Web4, that's different.
That's a really good point. And it's not just like getting them set up. Either
Right.
this document, it's talking about all sorts of services agencies would provide.
Yeah.
PR, community management, content creation, even marketing. It's like they become full-on partners with these organizations.
That seems to be the whole core of Linkspreed's strategy, yeah.
Right.
This partnership idea, not just between them and the agencies, but agencies and these big organizations.
Yes.
The document keeps saying it's a win-win-win.
Yeah, everyone benefits.
Exactly.
Okay, but what about the agencies themselves? What's in it for them?
Good question.
Well, agenturin.pdf goes into that too. They're offering a bunch of incentives, long-term contracts,
Oh, wow.
guaranteed work. They get exclusive marketing materials,
Oh.
even chances to upsell things, premium services, and collaborate on bigger projects.
Sounds pretty good on the surface, I guess.
Yeah.
But the document also says, not every agency can just jump into this.
Of course.
They want specific expertise.
Yeah, like PR, community management, all that.
Exactly.
And there's risk too, right?
Yeah.
The document explains that how they pay agencies is largely based on this licensing model. So
Right.
the more those communities the agency manages grow, the more the agency makes.
Oh, okay.
It's all about performance, which could be good for some, but kind of scary for others, maybe?
Yeah, for sure. It makes you think, is that sustainable long term?
Right.
Could it push agencies to just focus on growth instead of how good those communities actually are?
That's a great question. We should definitely come back to that. But first, maybe we should look at how agencies actually get on board the whole process.
Yeah, good idea. Because I bet agenturin.pdf has all the details on that tier.
Well, you bet it does.
It's like they have this whole step-by-step thing laid out.
Yeah.
So first there's this initial meeting.
Okay.
Then they do like a quality check. Linkspreed looks at, what the agency knows, if they can handle it. Then they talk about goals, contracts, all that.
Right.
And finally, the agency gets to work bringing those big players into the Linkspreed world, I guess.
What I found interesting is how, organized it all is.
Oh,
Yeah, the document even has, a guide for that first meeting.
seriously?
Agenda points, what you got to bring, the whole 9 yards.
Wow.
It's almost like a franchise or something. Linkspreed's giving them the exact recipe for success.
And that kind of control, maybe that's necessary, right? Think about how big this is.
Uh-huh.
They're not just going for a few good communities here and there.
Yeah.
They want to change the whole internet with this Web4 thing.
It really makes you think, what if they pull it off?
Yeah.
What if this agency plan actually works? Could Linkspreed become, the biggest name in online communities?
It's a wild thought, right? Imagine social networks, not controlled by, those giant companies anymore. But it's all decentralized, all these communities built on Linkspreed's platform.
So here's a question for you. Would that even be a good thing?
Hmm.
A more decentralized internet, Linkspreed's vision, is it good for users or are there downsides?
That's tough. It's complicated, right? On the one hand, yeah, a decentralized internet, it could be great for people, for communities.
Right.
More control over their data, their whole experience
But
online.
like you said before, there's that question of like growth over quality
Mm-hmm.
with agencies, getting paid based on how much things grow.
Mm.
Could you end up with all these like fake communities more about the numbers than real engagement?
That's a good point, yeah. And it's not just about how many communities there are either, right? It's what's happening inside them, or
Right.
people really connecting.
Yeah.
Are they having good discussions? Or is it all just like echo chambers, empty stuff?
That's important.
Yeah, these are things that both Linkspreed and those agencies, they got to think about. Because if those communities aren't actually good for the people in them, then the whole thing fails.
And good can mean a lot of things, right?
Exactly.
Sharing information, finding people who think like you, even just, having a place to relax, have some fun.
Yeah, all that. But you got to remember, building a good community online, it takes time,
Sure.
effort, and you got to understand what people want, what they're interested in.
Makes sense.
It's not something that just like happens overnight, or you can just copy paste from
Yeah.
somewhere else.
So how can Linkspreed make sure these agencies, they're actually focusing on those things, on what's good? You mentioned that quality check when they first come on board.
Right.
But is that enough?
Maybe they need to look beyond just, what skills the agency has, their experience.
Okay.
Maybe it's also about like how well they fit with Linkspreed.
Yeah.
Do they believe in that decentralized internet, the community thing? Have they built good communities before, positive ones?
Yeah, that's smart. And it seems like Linkspreed would need to keep supporting them, Not just at the beginning, but as they work together.
For sure. Maybe offer like training, workshops, guides on how to do things, even like mentoring from other agencies.
Because even the best agencies, they're going to hit some bumps in the road with this Web4 stuff, right?
Absolutely.
It's funny, we've been talking about Linkspreed, the agencies, these big organizations.
Yeah.
But in the end, it all comes down to the users themselves, right?
You're absolutely right. If those users, they don't like these Linkspreed communities,
Right.
if they don't get anything out of them, then it all falls apart.
So both Linkspreed and the agencies, they've got a lot to do.
Yeah.
Not just building the tech stuff for this Web4 idea, but creating a whole culture of community, helping people connect with each other in a meaningful way.
That's what makes this whole deep dive so interesting, right?
Yeah.
We're not just looking at like a marketing plan or a new app. It's about how we connect online, period. And if we can make it more decentralized, more fair,
It's both exciting and kind of scary at the same time.
Yeah, for sure.
And as we wrap up this part, I keep thinking back to what you said about agencies maybe focusing too much on growth. Do you think that's just like built into this kind of model?
Yeah.
A risk that's always there?
It's definitely something to think about. Yeah. Like imagine an agency, they're getting paid based on how much things grow. So they just bring in as many organizations as possible.
Yeah.
Even if those organizations, they're not a good fit for Linkspreed or they don't actually care about building good communities.
It makes sense.
It's not just the quantity, but the quality, right? What's going on in those communities?
Yeah.
Are they making real connections?
Yeah.
Having healthy discussions? Or just becoming those echo chambers full of fluff?
Important questions.
And both Linkspreed and the agencies, they need to be asking themselves these questions. Because ultimately, the whole thing only works if those communities are actually good for the people in them.
And that can be a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
It could be sharing information, finding people who think like you, even just, having a place to relax, have fun, whatever.
Exactly. But the thing is, building a community online that's actually good, it takes time,
Of course.
effort, and you got to really understand those people, what they need, what they're interested in.
Absolutely.
It's not some overnight thing. You can't just like copy paste it.
So how can Linkspreed make sure those agencies are focusing on the right stuff? We talked about that quality check.
Right. At the beginning,
But is that enough?
maybe they need to go beyond just, skills and experience.
Yeah.
Like, what about how well the agency fits with Linkspreed's values,
Right.
Do they believe in this whole decentralized internet thing? Are they committed to building communities the right way?
It's a good point.
Yeah.
And it feels like Linkspreed would need to keep supporting the agencies, not just at the start, but throughout. like, as they work together.
Definitely, maybe offer training programs, workshops, give them guides on best practices, even have them learn from each other, like mentoring.
Because even the most experienced agency, they're going to hit some roadblocks with Web4, right?
Absolutely.
It's funny, right? We've been talking about Linkspreed, the agencies, these big organizations.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it all comes down to the users themselves.
You're right, because if users don't find these Linkspreed communities valuable, if they don't feel like it's for them, the whole system falls apart.
So Linkspreed and the agencies, they have a lot to figure out. Not just the tech side, building this Web4 thing, but building a culture of community, helping people connect in a way that's meaningful, that actually matters.
And that's what makes this whole deep dive so interesting, don't you think?
Absolutely.
We're not just talking about some marketing plan or some new tech.
Yeah.
It's about, like, the core of how we connect with each other online. And if we can make it better, fairer, you know, more decentralized.
It's both exciting and a little scary, all at the same time.
For sure.
And as we wrap up here, I keep coming back to that idea you brought up. Agencies may be focusing too much on growth. Do you really think that's just, like, baked into this model? Is it a risk they can't avoid?
It's definitely something to think about, yeah.
Like, imagine
an agency, they're getting paid based on how much things grow.
Right.
So they just bring in as many organizations as they can, even if those organizations, they're not a good fit for Linkspreed, or they don't really care about building good communities.
Yeah.
It's not just about how many communities there are, it's about what's happening inside them.
Right, the quality.
Are they making real connections, having healthy discussions, or are they just becoming echo chambers full of, you know, meaningless stuff?
Important questions to consider.
Yeah, Linkspreed and those agencies, they need to be asking themselves these questions, because the whole thing only works if those communities are actually good for the people in them.
And good can mean different things, right?
Sure.
You could be about sharing information, finding people who think like you, even just having a space to relax, have fun, whatever.
Right, but building a community online that's actually good, it takes time, effort, and you got to really understand those people, what they need, what they're interested in.
That makes sense.
It's not something that happens overnight. You can't just copy-paste it.
So how can Linkspreed make sure those agencies are focusing on the right things? We talked about that quality check when they first come on board.
Yeah.
But is that enough?
Maybe they need to look at more than just, you know, the agency's skills and experience. What about their values? How well they align with Linkspreed's vision?
Right. Do they actually believe in this whole decentralized internet thing?
Exactly. Are they truly committed to building communities the right way?
And it seems like Linkspreed would need to keep supporting the agencies, not just at the beginning,
Absolutely.
but throughout the whole partnership.
Yeah, maybe offer training programs, workshops, guides on best practices, even mentoring, so they can learn from each other.
Like, even the best agencies, they're going to hit some snags with Web4. Right. It's new territory.
For sure.
It's funny, we've been focusing on Linkspreed, the agencies, these big organizations. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to the users, right?
Exactly. If users don't find value in these Linkspreed communities, if they don't feel like it's for them, the whole thing falls apart.
So Linkspreed and the agencies, they've got a lot to figure out.
Yeah.
Not just the tech side, but the human side. Building this Web4 thing, sure, but also building a culture of community.
Right.
Helping people connect in a way that's meaningful, that actually makes a difference.
And that's what makes this whole deep dive so fascinating.
Absolutely.
We're not just talking about a marketing plan or some new technology.
It's just bigger than that.
It's about how we connect online, period. And the potential to make it better, fairer, more decentralized.
It's both exciting and a little scary, all at the same time.
It really is.
Well, as we wrap up this part, I can't help but think back to that idea you mentioned.
Oh, yeah.
Agencies may be focusing too much on growth rather than quality. Do you really think that's just, like, built into this model?
Yeah.
An unavoidable risk?
It's definitely something to consider, yeah.
Okay.
Imagine an agency, they're getting paid based on how much things grow.
Right.
So they just bring in as many organizations as possible.
Yeah.
Even if those organizations, they're not a good fit for Linkspreed, or they don't actually care about building good communities.
That's a good point.
It's not just about the number of communities, it's about what's happening inside them.
Exactly, the quality.
Are they making real connections, having healthy discussions, or are they just becoming those echo chambers full of, you know, meaningless stuff?
Important questions to think about.
Yeah, for both Linkspreed and those agencies, because the whole thing only works if those communities are actually good for the people in them.
And good can mean so many things, right?
Right. It could be sharing information, finding people who think like you, even just having a space to relax, have fun.
Right. Whatever makes it valuable for them.
Exactly. But building a community online that's truly good, it takes time,
Of course.
effort, and a real understanding of the people in that community, what they need, what they care about.
Absolutely.
It's not something you can just like make happen overnight or copy from someone else.
So the question is, how can Linkspreed make sure the agencies are focusing on those things, on building communities that are actually good?
That's a great question.
We talk about that quality check when an agency first joins.
Right, that initial evaluation.
But is that enough?
Maybe they need to go beyond just, looking at skills and experience.
Okay, what else could they consider?
What about values? How well the agency's values align with Linkspreed's vision?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Do they truly believe in this whole decentralized internet thing? Are they committed to building communities the right way?
And it seems like Linkspreed would need to keep supporting the agencies, not just at the beginning,
Absolutely.
but throughout their partnership.
Definitely. Maybe offer training programs, workshops, guides on best practices, even mentoring, so they can learn from each other.
Because even the most experienced agency, they're going to run into challenges with Web4.
Yeah.
Right. It's uncharted territory.
For sure.
It's interesting, we've been talking about Linkspreed, the agencies, these big organizations they're targeting.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it all comes down to the users.
You're right, because if users don't find value in these communities, if they don't feel like it's for them,
The whole thing falls apart.
Exactly.
So Linkspreed and the agencies, they've got a lot to figure out.
They do.
Not just the technical side of building Web4, but also the human side.
Absolutely.
Building a culture of community, helping people connect in a way that's meaningful, that actually matters.
And that's what makes this whole deep dive so thought-provoking.
It really is.
We're not just talking about a marketing plan or a new technology
It's
platform.
bigger than that.
It's about how we connect with each other online and the potential to make it better, fairer, more decentralized.
It's exciting and a little scary all at the same time.
I agree.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm left wondering
Yeah.
if Linkspreed can overcome all these challenges, if they can get this agency strategy right, could they really reshape the internet as we know it?
It's a big question.
And if so, what kind of online world will we end up with? What will it look like?
That's something we'll just have to wait and see.
It is, but one thing's for sure, this whole journey towards a more decentralized, community-driven internet,
Yeah.
it's just getting started.
And it's definitely worth paying attention to.
Absolutely, well said. And on that note, we'll leave you to ponder those questions yourself. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Linkspreed's agency-powered strategy.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking those tough questions, and keep diving deep into the world of online communities.
Yeah, it's like, are they really connecting, having good, healthy discussions? Or is it just turning into those echo chambers full of, empty content,
That's such an important point. These are questions that really both Linkspreed and those agencies need to be thinking about.
For sure. Because in the end, this whole thing, it only works if those communities are actually good for the people who are in them, right?
And good. That can mean a lot of different things depending on the community.
Exactly. It could be about, sharing information, finding people who think like you do, or even just having a place to relax, have some fun, whatever works.
It's about what makes it valuable for the people who are part of it.
Absolutely. But the thing is, building a community online that's truly good, that's not something that just happens overnight,
Yeah.
It takes time, it takes effort, and it takes a real understanding of those people, what they need, what they care about. It's not something you can just, force or copy from somewhere else.
So the question is, how can Linkspreed make sure the agencies are focusing on those things, on building communities that are actually good?
That's a great question. It's not easy.
We talked about that quality check that happens when an agency first joins Linkspreed.
Right, that initial evaluation.
But is that enough?
Maybe they need to go beyond just, looking at the agency's skills and experience.
Sure, what else could they be looking at?
Well, what about values? How well do the agency's values align with Linkspreed's vision?
Yeah, that's important. Do they actually believe in this whole decentralized internet thing?
Exactly. Are they truly committed to building communities the right way?
And it seems like Linkspreed would need to keep supporting the agencies, not just at the beginning,
Absolutely. Not just a one-time thing.
but throughout their whole partnership.
Yeah, maybe offer training programs, workshops, guides on best practices, even mentoring so they can learn from each other.
It's like even the most experienced agencies, they're going to hit some roadblocks with Web4, you know? It's
Well,
new
for
territory.
sure. It's a learning curve for everyone.
It's interesting, we've been spending all this time talking about Linkspreed, the agencies, these big organizations they're going after.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it all comes down to the users, right?
Right. Because if those users don't find value in these communities, if they don't feel like they belong there, the whole thing falls apart.
Exactly. So Linkspreed and those agencies, they have a lot to figure
A
out.
lot of moving parts, yeah.
It's not just the technical side of building Web4, it's also the human side.
It's about building a culture of community, helping people connect with each other in a way that's meaningful, that actually makes a difference.
And that's what makes this whole deep dive so fascinating, don't you think?
Absolutely. It goes way beyond just marketing or technology.
It's about how we connect online, period.
Yeah.
And if we can actually make it better, make it fairer, make it more decentralized.
It's both exciting and a little bit scary at the same time. There's so much potential, but also so much uncertainty.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I keep coming back to one question.
Yeah. What's that?
If Linkspreed can overcome all these challenges, if they can really make this agency strategy work, could they actually change the internet as we know it?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It really is. And if they do, what will that new internet look like? What will it mean for all of us?
I guess we'll have to wait and see.
That's true. But one thing's for sure, this journey toward a more decentralized, community-driven internet, it's just getting started.
And it's definitely a journey worth watching. Who knows what the future holds?
Well said. And on that note, we'll leave you all to ponder those questions for yourselves. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Linkspreed's agency-powered strategy. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking those tough questions, and keep diving deep into the fascinating world of online communities.